There wasn't a single moment I thought she would leave me, but I was so stupid. I'm done with women. I'm never falling in love again. Yeah, dude. Nobody saw it coming. Are you mocking me? You talk as if it was so obvious. It was, dude. We all saw it coming. What? Breaking up with his girlfriend after a long 3-month relationship, Calvin and his buddies, Jake and Ethan, came out to the shore so he could let out his sorrows. But instead, when Calvin slipped and fell onto the ragged rocks by the shore, his friends had to rush him to the ER. Could today get any worse? Yeah, the vending machine is broken. The friends were waiting for the X-ray results when Jake peeked out the curtains, hearing a voice. Dude, she's like a supermodel. How did she become a nurse? You're right, and she's young. Who are you guys looking at? Awfully curious, Calvin limped on his leg and peeked out. Wow, she is beautiful. Really? I thought your interests in women were long gone. Mr. Williams, your X-ray results have come in. Calvin turned to see the woman who had taken his X-ray. So, did I fracture my ankle? I'm afraid it's a bit more complicated than that. The X-rays show a full-blown rupture of your tendon, but luckily, it can be treated with an immediate minor surgery. No, thank you. I'm fine. I don't need surgery. No, Mr. Williams. This needs to be treated as soon as possible, or the condition will get worse, and then we'll have to amputate your feet. Amputate? Alright, fine. Are you going to do it? No, she's going to do it. The friends turned to see the beautiful young woman. How is everything? She said, taking a look at the X-ray. Wait. She's going to do my surgery? This schoolgirl with tattoos? She's like really young. Is she even a doctor? She's the only on-call surgeon available tonight. The young woman looked at Calvin shocked, but chuckled. Dr. Sarah Cargill, don't worry, no one has ever lost life in my hands. As the nurse took him into the surgery room and administered the anesthesia, Calvin stared at Sarah putting on her mask. Don't worry, it's my first surgery. What? Wait, no! William woke up in a hospital room. Surprisingly, he didn't feel the pain anymore. As he sat up, the door opened and there was Sarah. Mr. Williams? You're alive? Thank goodness they didn't shift you to the morgue. I thought you died. What? Well, I was hoping you would die. Kind of messed up during the surgery and then we had to amputate your feet. No, please, no. Calvin lifted up his blankets, squinting a glance as Sarah burst out laughing. Be at ease, everything went well. You'll be discharged tomorrow and the injury should heal in a couple weeks. Calvin too couldn't help but smile as she checked his feet and wished him a fast recovery. He felt a bit embarrassed for the way he had judged her before. Dude, I owe her an apology. Bring flowers on your way, okay? Is this an apology or a date? I thought you were never gonna fall in love again. Just do it, dude. The evening Calvin was discharged, he asked to meet Sarah last time. Mr. Williams? It's Calvin. I owe you an apology for my behavior. I was kinda having a bad day. Flowers. This was Calvin and Sarah's first meeting of many meetings to come. At first, it was doctor's appointments. But then, they started to meet outside and got to learn about each other. Calvin was the type of guy who was soft-hearted, living a safe, secure, and peaceful life. But Sarah was all about living life on the edge, the adrenaline rush. On their first date, Sarah's idea of a thrilling night was going to an amusement park and riding the tallest roller coaster there was. I think I'll skip. I have a weak heart. Please, your pulse rate is just fine. There wasn't a moment when Sarah would stop, take in the fresh air, and chill. You live in Santa Monica and you don't know how to surf? Let's go, Calvin! Sarah, there's no one in the water. They spotted a shark. How did someone like you become a doctor? When you're a doctor, you learn the value of life, and you know you only have one, so you make the best out of it. And soon, Calvin too found himself doing things that he would never have done. Let's get matching tattoos. Tattoos? Come on, Calvin, I have a bunch of them and you're just getting one. And like they say, opposites attract. And before long, Calvin and Sarah were madly in love. It was one weekend that the couple spontaneously decided to take a road trip to Las Vegas. Alright, Sarah, we're here, but promise me you're not going to do anything crazy. Before Calvin could even finish, Sarah ran into the casino. Calvin went after her, but soon found her standing amongst the crowd. Bella, will you marry me? Jacob, are you serious? As the crowd started cheering, say yes, say yes. Sarah turned to search for Calvin. Calvin, let's get married. Sarah, are you serious? Of course I'm serious. What about our families? Who cares about families? You only visit them on the holidays, and I've always been like this. I now pronounce you husband and wife. We got married! Surprise! When Sarah and Calvin returned to Santa Monica, they hosted a small party and announced their marriage. You guys aren't surprised? We guessed you two would do something like that. Married life together turned out to be beautiful. And not long after did Sarah give Calvin the news that she was expecting. Sarah, it's not one life anymore, it's two. So no more crazy adventures, no hunting, no surfing with sharks, or trying to drive like Fast and Furious. There is no way you are pulling a Tarzan stunt with our car with my baby. Alright, alright. Together, the couple prepared everything the baby could possibly need in their first year of life. And it seemed within a blink of an eye, the 9 months went by. And Sarah and Calvin had their baby girl in their arms. What are we going to name her? Angela. Where's the little kiddo? Can we hold her? No, don't touch her. Don't worry, we washed our hands, but she's still fragile. Okay, okay. No one's gonna mess with the mama bear. After 3 days at the hospital, both Sarah and Angela were doing great and were ready to return home. I've scheduled your postpartum appointments. I'll see you soon. Doctor, how long after childbirth do we have to wait? About 4 to 6 weeks. The small, happy family returned home, and everything seemed fine. But soon, things started to change. Calvin noticed Sarah had been staying away from him and avoiding intimacy. And he understood why, but he was desperate to be with his wife again. He waited for those 6 weeks to pass in which he tried to help Sarah every way he could. Well, looks like someone needs a new diaper. Give her to me, I'll do it. It's okay, take a break, I'll take care of her. No, I said I'll do it. Whenever Calvin would come into the nursery to check up on Angela, Sarah too would hurry in. Sometimes she even stayed in the nursery overnight. Whenever Calvin tried talking to Sarah and trying to spend time with her, she pushed him away. I said, "No, Calvin, stop it. Calvin, stay away." Things got to the point where his mere presence would even bother Sarah. It was one evening he had just walked into the kitchen. When Sarah turned around startled, "What are you doing?" "Not doing anything." Calvin couldn't understand why Sarah was behaving like this. Had he done something? So one night, Calvin decided to confront her. "Calvin, I said don't touch me." "Why? What happened? Why are you behaving like this? I understand things are different for you postpartum, but it's like our relationship is falling apart. You can't tolerate me anymore. You don't even want to be in the same room. And you've been behaving so strange and possessive with Angela." "It's nothing." Without answering anything, Sarah stormed out and locked herself in the nursery with Angela. And this time, Calvin too stayed put in his room, feeling so frustrated. But it was sometime in the middle of the night, he heard Sarah slowly creep into the room. "You're still awake? You haven't slept? Calvin, I'm going to tell you something that I've never told anyone before." "What?" "You've never met my parents, but I come from a very rich family. But my life was far from good. As far as I can remember, it had been happening with me around the time I was 6. He used to touch me. I was too young to realize what was going on, and he always told me not to tell, so I remained silent. But when I turned about 9 or 10 years old, I started to feel strange when he used to do all the things he did. But even then, I didn't have the courage to say anything." "Who did this to you?" "My father." "What? And what about your mother? She didn't do anything about it?" "My mother knew." Sarah Cargill was the eldest daughter to Richard and Elizabeth Cargill. Her father was a very influential businessman, and those who knew them saw them as a very respected and dignified family. But the truth behind the walls of the Cargill estate was far different. Sarah felt imprisoned in her own home, going through something that she was ashamed to speak of. And things only became worse as she aged. When she became a woman and completely understood the reality of the matter. When it all started as a child, she used to be scared every time her door creaked open at night, and she saw her father step inside. She was afraid, not knowing what he was going to do. She wished he would just leave, but he wouldn't. Every night, she couldn't sleep in fear that it was going to happen again. But as the years passed by, the fear became a numb pain. Hearing her father's footsteps, seeing him close the door, she knew why he was here and what he was going to do with her. On the other hand, her mother too sensed something wasn't right. She would often find her husband leaving the room in the middle of the night. She would sometimes follow him to see him going into her daughter's room. And when he would return, she would hear Sarah crying, but she chose to turn a blind eye. She thought about the family's honor and prestige and remained silent. She tried to treat Sarah with love and compassion to make up for what she was going through. But Sarah grew up traumatized, expected to behave as if everything was normal, when it wasn't. Mr. Donahue, meet my wife and my eldest daughter, Sarah, the lady of the house. Sarah felt disgusted hearing her father call her his daughter. How could he put on this act after what he did to her last night, the night before? Sarah was suffocated living that lie. So when she turned 16, she decided she would leave this family and this life. She stole her mother's jewelry and some money from her father's safe and ran away from home, taking a bus not knowing where it would lead her. Eventually, she settled in a small coastal town in California, where she rented an apartment and got a job as a waitress and enrolled herself into college. Since she was a good student, she focused on her studies, and after a lot of hard work and also preference of her professors due to her looks, Sarah completed her medical degree and became a surgeon. But her past memories kept on traumatizing her. So Sarah always lived a hyper life. She always kept herself occupied doing the most craziest of things, because sustaining that excitement helped her forget the pain of her past. But it was after she met Calvin, those memories were somehow overshadowed, and she felt normal. However, when they had their daughter and Sarah saw Angela's face for the first time, all those memories returned, and deep down inside, she was traumatized again. I know you're a very different person from my father, but I'm unable to psychologically overcome my fear. I feel scared what happened to me might happen with Angela. You went through so much injustice, and you didn't tell me. These perverts of the society get the courage to do these kind of things because of people like us who remain silent. People like your mother who collaborate with them. We have to take a step. We can't keep quiet. For our daughter. For every daughter. So Calvin and Sarah filed a case against her father, Richard Cargill, and as proof, Sarah visited her old psychiatrist that her parents made her visit as a child for abnormal and depressive behavior. Will you come to court and help me? Yes, of course. Don't worry, I'll be there. The day Sarah stood in court, she was fully prepared in front of her father and mother, determined to fight this. However, as the case progressed, Sarah found herself in legal trouble when her father pleaded not guilty. Sarah turned a glance at her psychiatrist. She was the only person who could turn this case around. Your Honor, Sarah Cargill was a patient of mine in her childhood years, and she was a troubled child. She had a relationship with a boy, and when her father became an obstacle to that, she held a grudge against him and spread all these rumors. Sarah and Calvin were thundered as her psychiatrist changed her word, and her father's lawyer smirked, walking up to wrap up on the case. Your Honor, Richard Cargill is a very wealthy, influential man. His daughter had stolen money from him and ran away from his home when she was only 16 and never returned. These allegations aren't true. The only reason she filed this case was to trap her father to claim a share in his property and wealth. The whole thing is a mere setup. After taking into consideration all evidence, the court releases Richard Cargill from all allegations. However, investigation will be done on Sarah Cargill for defamation. Hearing the judge, Sarah couldn't stay put anymore. She stood up and looked at her mother straight in the eye. You call yourself a mother? Don't you have any shame? Order, order, please remain civil, or you will be arrested for the contempt of court. The whole time you knew, and you ignored what was happening to me. You will stay silent even now and pretend like nothing happened? You aren't my mother. You're my enemy." Elizabeth quietly listened to her daughter shout until she saw the police come forth to hold her back, and realized this had gone on long enough. "Your Honor, I want to confess. What happened with my daughter is true. Her father had paid her psychiatrist to give a false witness, but all these years I knew, but I remained silent. I'm equally guilty of his sin." Hearing her mother come in front of everyone and give witness to everything, Sarah fell in shock as tears fell from her eyes. There was an uproar in the courtroom. Richard Cargill will be arrested and kept in custody as further investigation is done, and a case shall be filed against Dr. Cullen for having given a false witness. After the investigation was complete, the family met in court again for the final hearing. Richard Cargill was found guilty of the allegations made by Sarah Cargill and is sentenced to 5 years' time. Sarah sighed as her father was taken away by the police. What was the point of all of this? He wasn't punished. He's going to spend a month in probation and get out. Sarah, maybe he wasn't punished, but he didn't get away with it. Now people know. Even after years, it came back and destroyed him. People like him get the courage to do these kind of things because they think they will get away with it. But now they will know they won't. Calvin picked up their daughter in his arms, and it was all for her. So what happened to you doesn't happen with anyone. Click on the subscribe button and check out more awesome videos on our channel. And don't forget to press the bell icon because you know it's interesting.